All right. Hi, well, I will start the introduction while everyone is loading in. Good morning. My name is Tracy Nyer, and I'm with the Virginia Small Business Development Center Network. For those of you who are not familiar with the organization, the Virginia SBDC is a partnership program between the U.S. Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions throughout Virginia. With 27 locations across the Commonwealth, we provide training and technical assistance to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one counseling services are available at no charge. Today's webinar, Human Resource Management for Childcare Businesses, is one of our educational offerings. We are recording today's presentation and it'll be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted, but if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the Q&A box and we will answer that at the end of the session. We have also enabled the live transcript functions, which will show you can show or hide via your meeting controls. Please join me in welcoming our presenters for today's presentation, Lauren Small and Virginia Marsh.
Thank you, Tracy. Sorry, I needed to close the door. I could hear some noise out there. I'm Lauren Small. I'm the owner and CEO of Early Education Business Consultants, and I'm joined today with my incredible colleague, Virginia Marsh, who is our Director of Operations at Early Education Business Consultants. We are also both business analysts, and I've been working for the Small Business Development Center for over 25 years, and I'm a certified business analyst with the network. So we're really excited. I want to just tell you a little bit about our company so you know where we're coming from. And we're located in Hampton Roads. And our company works only in the early childhood sector, but we focus on the business model. We both focus on the business side of our industry. And we do that by teaching and consulting around business practices for early childhood providers. We tend to focus primarily on independent operators or small businesses because what we found is that a lot of those folks come into our industry with a very strong educational background, but really need support in learning the business side of the house. So we teach human resource management, marketing, financial management, always with kind of this idea of strategic thinking and building leadership. We have a partnership with the Virginia SBDC right now where we're able to do the program that we've been doing in Hampton Roads for many, many years. We're able to take it statewide. And maybe that's a silver lining with COVID, is that we've been able to move all of our training onto the Zoom platform. So we'll talk more about that. Our company also does some other things. We have a real interest in pushing technology and helping providers understand technology. And you'll see that with, that's really Virginia's sweet spot and her expertise. And so today we'll be able to talk a little bit about technology and how you can use it more robustly around hiring. And then lastly, just in our state and really across the country, there's a huge movement towards looking at our business model in more innovative ways. You know, as you all know, it's fragile. It's a fragile business model. And so we are the hub for a shared services alliance here in Hampton Roads. And that is where really you bring providers together in a more formal way to save money or to do things better. So there's lots of information about shared services. Ours is HRSA. We have a website, HRSA.org, that you can check that out if you want to learn more about it. And I just want to thank we have so many people that we work with. We actually have a team of 5 people at our company. And so it's not just Virginia and I, and they're amazing. I guess doing this topic, you know, we've been studying it so much, human resource management. It makes you realize how important your employees are. And I've been thinking deeply about that even for our company. So I'm going to jump right into the content because I only have you all for an hour. Like Tracy said, we'll have time at the end for some questions, but we're going to cover things because we want to get through this material because we understand that right now our industry is in a crisis for looking for employees and staff. So questions at the end, or put them in the chat box. Both Virginia and I will be tag teaming, answering questions in the chat box. So where is everybody? I think for a while we thought that once unemployment ended, we would just, start to have all kinds of people applying for jobs. But we're learning very quickly that that's not the case. So people are still out of work right now because of fear of COVID. We're a female-dominated industry, and the millions of women dropped out of the workforce during the COVID crisis because, let's face it, they were the ones taking care of the kids. They were the ones that were disrupted by childcare and school virtual learning. We know right now, also, especially for our industry, competition for applicants is fierce, and we're competing for with food service, hotels, the service industry for employees. And we're losing the race on that because we're not keeping up around wages. We know we have systemically low wages, and we're working hard to improve that. But also our job is physically and emotionally demanding. And what we're seeing is this huge shift in our country. And it makes sense when you think about it. A lot of folks were out of work, but still getting paid either by their employer or with unemployment. And for the first time, a lot of people are realizing what is work-life balance. And they're thinking more deeply about how they want to live their lives and how they want to live lives even at work. So they're rethinking work. And this is a trend that I think is going to be here for a while, and it's really challenging employers to think differently about their workplace. We can no longer say we're a great employer. We really have to work hard to be a great employer, a great place to work. So this ties into a few topics that we want to talk about today. And if you are interested in learning more about business management, we'll have a link at the end. I encourage you to think about applying for our more in-depth business program, which is being a partnership with the Virginia SBDC, and it's been offered to centers in Virginia right now. So we're going to talk about some creative ways to find staff. We know that many directors and leaders are spending time in the classroom some of them for the first time in a long time. And so we understand that time is limited. We know that people aren't showing up for interviews. We know that there's not a large pool of people to pull from. So we hope that we'll be able to give you some quick wins, some quick ideas that you can immediately implement that will help to start alleviate some of the challenges. And so we're not just talking today, though, about hiring or recruitment, but also want to start planting the seeds around retention strategies and how, once you've got great people in there, and let's face it, we have some staff that have really stuck in there with us through COVID, but they're reaching a burnout. And so what do we need to be thinking about around organizational climate and retention? So the first seed I want to plant, first concept I want to talk about is everything that you did to market for customers. We're shifting and we're doing this pretty aggressive marketing effort for staff. So in the past, we were depending, if you think about the most effective marketing in our industry is, first of all, word of mouth. So now we're doing things to get referrals from families, from our staff. And what we're seeing is a lot of centers are using bonuses or incentives in some way to get those word of mouth referrals. We're getting online, but getting online effectively. Same thing, we have websites. Well, now we want a page on our website that's really marketing for staff. We're using search engine optimization and understanding keywords that will help us attract staff. If you're good at social media and you've used that really effectively for marketing for families, it's And we're seeing a lot of centers having success using social media to attract staff. And same thing with testimonials, like testimonials, online testimonials is huge for getting families. Think about it. We're not just saying we're great, we're a great employer. Our testimonials are reinforcing that we're a great employer. So there's lots of spaces. Virginia's going to show you where you can put testimonials and encourage your current staff to leave those to attract new employees. And then just, you know, if you did events, open house, t-shirts, a signage, anything that's worked for you in the past for families, again, think about it with that lens of attracting applicants to your center to apply for jobs. And just thinking about what are employees looking for now. So they're really have the pick of jobs right now. They're very entitled, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but people are getting a chance to think about really what they want. And first thing they want, you know, all the data, all the research, everyone's understanding that they want more money, that bonuses and hiring incentives right now are the norm. Right down the street, I have a sandwich shop called Taste Unlimited, and the sign's been out there, $2,000 hiring bonus for food service workers. 20, I think it said $20 an hour. They want benefits, and we have a lot of space in our industry to improve the benefits that we offer. They want physical and financial safety. People are looking for more flexibility in work and that work-life balance. And then also, we know people are looking for meaningful and purposeful work, that they want to feel appreciated, that they want employers that care about them, and they want a career. They want a career path in the work they're doing. So if we understand what people are looking for, and we understand that now we have to market, it just makes sense that we start to do marketing message with very emotionally driven benefit language. So let me just show you as an example what I'm talking about. And I know this slide is busy. You guys are going to get these slides, but I think this will really help you think about what you're doing now and how you can maybe make some shifts. So we know we have huge benefits that we offer to the people that work with us. And I want you to first think about the things, they don't even cost you any money, but I think there's a lot of space for us to shout it to the world. We're fun. Our industry is fun. We get to work with kids. And when we get the right people in there who love children, it's an incredible job. We make a difference. We know that this is the most important time in a child's life. So if you want to make an impact and have meaningful work, we're the place. You get to be outside when you work in early childhood. You're not behind a desk all day. You get to be creative. And did I mention it's super fun? It's family friendly. You want flexible hours? We're your game in town, right? We know how to be flexible, but we also have more predictable hours. If you think about restaurant workers, they have to work all kinds of shifts, late nights, weekends, Friday night. We don't have that. We have predictable hours. If you have small children and we have free or discounted childcare, that's a huge benefit that can really help a family start to get into the workforce. I had 3 small children all at once. It didn't make sense to work. I couldn't afford it. If you're able to provide food, that might be something to articulate in your marketing. And we're an industry that professionally develops. We spend money on it. If you want to go back to school, we're your industry. We have scholarships. And if you don't know about the DSS scholarships, then send me a message. We will tell you all about them. And so we have career path in our industry. And talk about the celebrations. Every holiday we celebrate. We're fun. Our teachers are appreciated. They're valued. We have a positive work environment. Smoke-free. Like, of course it's smoke-free, but maybe they work someplace that it isn't. And our parents and our families are amazing. You know, so if you think about different market segments that we might be trying to pull applicants from, you know, I put on the right side of the slide some brainstorming, like restaurant workers, what are some of the things that they deal with? And maybe our marketing language needs to target drawing them out of their jobs into our industry. Or college students, what's important to them? In Hampton Roads, we're a huge military community. So we try to pull those military spouses in that have young children and need that flexibility, or women returning to work. Yesterday, we did a webinar and someone mentioned retired people, and we've had some clients that have had success connecting with AARP. One of our clients said, man, they're the best. They're always on time and they do their job, So I think we're right now have to be creative about getting deeper into targeting folks and pulling them into the applicant pool. And that's where they call it, I think, outbound rather than inbound. We got to do our outbound marketing. So just talking a little bit more about benefits too. As you think about really trying to draw people in our industry, I think there's a lot of space to start boosting up our benefits. And some of this may have to be a longer term strategy as you work the money, what it costs. But this is what's important to professionals, is that they have a living wage and that they have safety in having health insurance and some benefits in place. So the thing that I usually see centers who do pretty good is we give paid time off. One idea we heard, we just came back from the Shift conference and that was put on by Hinge Brokers. And they were saying, well, maybe an easy thing to do to give people more paid time off would be to have more holidays that parents are paid, you're closed, employees are getting paid for those holidays. Health benefits, your employees may not need them, but I think we're seeing a shift that responsible employers are understanding where people are at and what's needed. So surveying your staff to ensure that they do have some type of health benefit in place, whether they may be eligible for medic aid, but they may need help navigating that. They may need, may benefit from the marketplace, or you may have an employer-sponsored healthcare plan. Really low-hanging fruit on health benefits is to put in place telemed. And telemed we already have that in place in Virginia on the shared services platform. That's going to be a resource at the end of our slide. It's super inexpensive for an employer to implement telemed. Louise Stoney recently did a webinar for our industry on health benefits. I put it as a resource at the end of the slides. So if you want to just listen to a whole talk around healthcare benefits for early childhood, I invite you to listen to that webinar. I think retirement plans is also, I think employers think they can't do it, but there's lots of options to help your employees start to save for retirement. And we know, and I wish I had a data point I heard at one of the conferences, it helps with retention like 30 to 50% when you have a retirement plan in place. Virginia and I actually saw that. We were working for a company in Tennessee that was selling their business, and their employees were going to transition from one employer to the next. And the new employer was worried that they would lose people. And we heard staff repeatedly say she had a 401k in place. Well, I'm not leaving. I want to keep my 401k. I need to be vested in that. And then when we looked deeper, it wasn't even that the employer had paid that much money into the 401k, but it was enough to keep that employee there. So retirement plans, maybe it starts with just you're educating people about retirement plans, like how to set up an IRA, or maybe you're moving to the next level. And there's a couple, there's SEP IRAs, there's simple IRAs, there's 401ks, there's profit sharing plans. And this is a space where we're trying to learn more because I think our industry needs this. And then life or disability insurance might be something else to think about. All of these have a cost, and you just have to be strong with understanding your budgets and what you can afford. So now, once you get that language of what you're marketing to potential employees, Let's get the marketing materials put together. This is actually on somebody's website. And if you start looking at most of the major players, you can see that their careers page looks different. It used to be like, apply here, here's the jobs we have. Now it's a very rich marketing language about why would you want to work here? We're an incredible employer. And so that's a quick thing you can do, is to get on your website and update it with this marketing language, and then making it super easy for people to apply. Super streamlined, automated process for applying. And this company has top 10 reasons to join our team. And this is something we got from the conference, so I got to give Hinge credit for letting me borrow this slide. But you can see they put it into all kinds of like marketing messages. This top 10, I think, is really great language. And you don't have to always reinvent the wheel with language. Like, look at other sites, make it your own, but don't feel like you have to start things from scratch. Every child deserves to be in a great place, and we have to help one another right now. And then I thought this was really great on a website. This is Blue Marble, and they put their career path really simply on the website, showing people that you can start here, but look where you can go in our organization. And Virginia had a great point in one of our workshops, is maybe you don't necessarily have this career path, but you can get creative, and there can be leadership opportunities that you can create in your organization, and show people that there's opportunities here. We're not just a dead-end job for you. So let's talk for a minute about the wages. People are wanting more money. We as an industry, and here in Virginia, we know we've been really working hard to keep up with the minimum wage increases. Virginia and I just came back from a national conference all around workforce crisis, and had many different types of providers at this conference. What we're hearing is that wages need to go up pretty dramatically. I put 2 to 4, but what these guys were saying at the conference is like $4 an hour. And we really are trying to set that goal of $15 an hour for our lowest paid employees. So some of you may be freaking out going, I can't afford that. And I understand that. We're planting seeds. We're not saying that you have to do this. It has to work for your budget. But this is what, if we're going to compete, we've got to start figuring out a way in our industry to get our wages up. And we know it's been needed for a long time. So first thing is, you may have to increase your prices. You know your customers. If you're a fully subsidy center, that may not be possible. Know your market. But what we heard at the conference is centers are going as high as 8% to make up for the wage increases. Your families are making more money. Everyone's income is going up. So it makes sense prices are going to probably go up. You don't often lose as many families as you may think when you increase prices, especially if you communicate well the price increase. So what we want to encourage is that you're not afraid, that you're making smart business decisions, rational, to help to have I don't even want to say realistic, a functioning business model. You have to be at break even. The other thing is, we do know American Rescue Plan dollars are coming to childcare. VECF is managing those funds. They had a webinar about a month ago talking about it. They're working through the administration of it. It's going to look much like the CARES grant money that you all received. You're not going to have to apply. I think it's probably going to be a similar process, that if you're licensed or religious exempt center, they have your information and you'll receive that funds. What we're recommending is that you immediately use that extra money for wages. Now, if you increase everyone's pay, it has to be sustainable after that funding is gone. So you may want to consider just using it for bonuses right now. And what you don't want to do is pay new employees more than your existing awesome staff. So, if you're having to increase your starting wages, it trickles all the way up. And we are huge proponents, and part of our training, we can help with setting up and understanding salary scales. That's a recommended best practice. keeps everything fair. And we also recommend, and again, this is part of our support and help as an SBDC network, is helping with budgeting and the capability to run financial scenarios. I think this is really important in our industry because it enables you to run scenarios. If I increase prices this much, if I increase wages, like you have to have that capability as a leader to quickly do what they call is run your numbers. And the last thing, I just want to plant a seed, and Virginia and I, we're working on a one-pager on this to help explain it. But this would be the time for some advocacy, even if you're just connecting to your child care association or your lawmakers. And you can Google your lawmaker near me, and it says, where are you at? And it tells you who that person is. And the reason I mention this is behind the American Rescue Plan is the American Families Plan, which is Biden has put in a bill for like $1.8 trillion for childcare. And it's expected that even if we get half of that money, we're going to have a nice infusion of support for childcare. Well, if they don't hear your voice and your crisis and what you need, then decision makers up here are going to make some decisions that may or may not be the best thing for our independent operators, for you all. So, this would be a time for some advocacy. So I want to now shift gears and pass it over to Virginia. She's got some really great information around more effective recruitment using some of the platforms and the online stuff.
Yeah, thank you. I think, yes, we're hiring. It's no secret that our industry is hiring. We're in a hiring crisis, as we've been discussing. But the cold hard truth is everyone's hiring right now. Everyone's having tough time. And we hear over and over again in our research, if you've got a candidate who's applying and you're interested in, that candidate has the ability to be choosy right now. And they're looking at, why should they work for us? Why should they work for your center? And so going through that list, and I mentioned this on another webinar we did this week, when you get the slides, that one slide that Lauren shared with all the great benefits of our industry, print that off, work with your team, figure out what of those items your center is utilizing and what can you use as your hiring and your way of convincing people that you're a great place to work. I think we're going to go through some tactical things on what we can be doing to streamline and improve our hiring process. But I think the first thing we need to mention is that we should always be hiring. And could you flip the slide, please?
I forgot I was supposed to be doing that.
Actually, we're on Zoom, so I can request remote control, and that might actually let me.
Oh, yes, you're going to love that.
Okay. I think so, yeah. So even if, if you're in a crisis mode right now, and I would figure if you're on this webinar, you're probably at that mode. But even as you start to see yourself get fully staffed, don't be afraid to start the process all over again. If you're always hiring, like, I need my slides back.
Oh, I thought you were doing it. I'm so sorry. I'll pull them back up. Keep talking.
If you're always hiring, if you're always introducing candidates into your pipeline, then you're less likely to reach that crisis point. I still can't see them.
I know. I'm sorry. I thought you took over this screen. So, amateurs. Sorry, Tracy.
All good.
We're going to talk about some recruitment must-haves. Like Lauren mentioned, one of the first things that I would encourage you all to adopt, if you don't already have, is add a page to your website for a career page where you can list those benefits that you've talked about, that you can show your career lattice and have a landing page for potential applicants, potential employees to see what you're all about and why they should work for you. We're going to talk about defining your hiring process, looking at some hiring platforms that I'm sure many of us are already using. We're going to introduce maybe some company pages and the reason that we need reviews from our employees, look at effective job advertisements, applicant tracking systems, positive onboarding experiences, and how we can automate with technology. I think you're going to need to advance the slide. So first and foremost, have your hiring process in mind. I think one of the dangerous things that we've heard several times is, I'm just trying to get anybody in to fill positions. And there's no magic fix. There's no quick fix magic pill that's going to solve our hiring crisis. But if we go back and we spend time on the basics, maybe speed up the process, but don't skip steps, because you want to streamline it. You want to get people in, but we don't want to bring in somebody that's not a good fit for our team. And so I think, I think so often we're always looking for the secret sauce, and there really isn't a secret sauce. I think if there was a solution out there, we would have heard it by now, but we keep reminding people to go back and not to skip steps. All right, we're ready for the next slide. I came across, one before that. I came across this as an example of, or a bad example of, a job advertisement as well as unclear job descriptions. And so they say, we're hiring servers to serve people, greeters to greet people, line cooks to cook people. Oh yeah, take that back. We need to cook food. So the first and foremost thing that we need to do in our hiring process before we even put an ad, go ahead to the next slide, is to look at our job descriptions and to be very clear on who we want on our team. We're not just looking for a teacher or a staff member to take care of children. Your team is unique. It's unique to your center and your community, and you need to know exactly who you're looking for, and to have that in mind. And a great place to start is to start asking your team, who are we looking for? They know we're short-staffed. They're feeling the brunt of it. So if we can include them in the hiring process and show that and validate their opinions and their input, then they feel a part of the process, and they know that we're on the lookout. When we're moving on to creating that job advertisement from those attributes, we got to keep in mind that the goal is to attract qualified staff who are a good fit for your team. If we introduce somebody to our team who isn't a good fit, we're just creating a bigger problem for ourselves. We're creating discipline issues. We're creating short staffing. We're creating morale issues. There's a whole slew of things that come along with a bad hire. Not to mention, it creates a quality issue. I've heard people say that their quality has gone down because they haven't brought people on that have been a good fit for your team. And I remember being in this situation a couple years ago with my staff, and my staff actually agreed when we talked about it. They would rather put in more hours and take the brunt of it until we found somebody that was a good fit for our team. So let's talk about where our applicants are coming from, because after we've, decided on who we want, we need to find out where they're going to come from. And some research has shown, and this was kind of eye-opening. somebody who spends time on your career page. So that's why we put that up front as one of the top things. If they spend time looking at your career page, looking at your website, and apply from there, they are 7 times more likely to be hired. They can also be coming from referrals, and someone brought this up yesterday, so I added it, a self-referral. If they're coming from a staff member or a family at your center, which I think are great referrals because people refer people they want to work with, families refer people that they would feel comfortable leaving their children with. But as you're out and about in the community, why not? Some of my best employees and my best hires were people that I developed a relationship with at the grocery store and said, have you thought about entering into early childhood? And I was able initially to offset, maybe they only had part-time hours. I could give them the other half of their part-time hours. And eventually they came on with me full-time because they found that was a place that they really enjoyed being. And then we were able to put in some of those other things, professional development, get them scholarships, complete their degree, and they found their career path. So someone that comes in through a referral or self-referral is 13 times more likely to be hired. When we look at hiring platforms, and we're going to dive into those a little bit more in depth, 82% of our applicants come from hiring platforms. But unfortunately, they tend to be a lower hire rate because they tend to be less responsive and a lower quality applicant. And often that has to do with hiring platforms. It's easier for somebody. It's quicker for them to push, apply. They're not always taking into consideration if the job is a good fit for them, or if they're really even interested, they're just applying. And so what we want to do is spend a little bit of time talking about the quality of what we're putting on our hiring platforms so that we're getting the best applicants possible and maybe screening out some of the lower quality applicants. So when we talk about hiring platforms, that can be anything from a job board, a job search engine, or an applicant tracking system. And as I was doing my research, it gets really muddy. The features overlap on each other. When we're talking job boards, usually that's industry or company specific. And it's just a place where you can post jobs and applicants can find and apply to jobs. When we're talking about search engines, that's where we start bringing in Indeed and Monster and Google for Jobs. These are based on algorithms that try to match up applicants with employers or employers with applicants, because we don't necessarily forget that Indeed and these job search boards work both ways. It doesn't just have to be an applicant coming after your job. You can actually look at applicants and go after people that have posted their resumes. Actually, can you go back for a second, Lauren? And then an applicant tracking system is something that will kind of post your jobs on multiple search sites, but it'll also gather your applicants into one place, keeping those resumes out of your inbox and in one local place. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But it just helps you track an applicant through each stage of your hiring process. And then
Virginia, tell them about Acquire for Hire then, because it's everybody's
yes.
Virginia.
Okay. So in the state of Virginia, through CHILDCARE Aware, and if you go to, I think that's the resource at the end of this slide deck, there is a link. CHILDCARE Aware and Virginia have a job board specifically for early childhood providers, where you can fill out a form, get access to the Virginia Early Childhood Job Board. It works as an applicant tracking system. When you post a job on there, it sends it to, it used to be 7, but it's more than that because it's going on Indeed, in LinkedIn Jobs, Google for Jobs. I think I've seen it come in through ZipRecruiter, from Facebook. I've seen it come from Craigslist as well. And it posts the jobs, people apply for it. You can even utilize their job board page as a link on your website to show all your job postings. But there's a place for teachers, assistants to look specifically in the state of Virginia to see who's hiring and who's posted a job. It also allows you to email candidates, track them through the system, see, if you've screened them, if you've interviewed them, if you've sent them a job offer, all the way through the system. So it's something that we are very much encouraging providers in the state of Virginia to look into. And then when we're looking at search engines, job search engines such as Indeed, and I'm going to use Indeed in quite a few of my scenarios and examples. When we were at this conference 2 weeks ago, we had some seminars with a representative from Indeed who kind of gave us some ins and outs and tips and tricks on using the search engines and using Indeed specifically. But when you post a job on Indeed, there are some things that determine how visible your job is. And so some things that some of them we have control of them, some we don't. For instance, there's like 250 AI factors that go into their into Indeed's algorithm. We don't know what they are. We don't have control over them. We're not going to spend time on that. The things that we do have control over, we have control over the timing. So if we post a free job ad on Indeed or on one of these job boards or job search engines, a free ad, the longer it sits open, the further down the list it shows up and the less likely it is to show up on somebody's search. If you sponsor the ad, it takes that element of time away. And there's been some research that says that if you sponsor an ad, you've got 2.3 times more likely to hire from that job ad if it's sponsored. So that removes the element of time. One other thing that to be aware of, if you're using free job ads on Indeed, if you're turning it on and off to cheat the system and to raise it up on visibility, Indeed can flag you and actually make your ad invisible. So just keep that in mind. And then we're going to start talking about content, company branding, and reviews as part of how to, improve your visibility of your job advertisements. We can go to the next slide. While we can't control applicant behavior, we can influence it. And I think the biggest take home that we want to share from this is that you've got about a minute to convince a job applicant if your job is a good fit for them or not. So smartphone optimization, make sure it looks good on a smartphone. 50% of job seekers are on their phones. And the complication of if it takes more than 15 minutes or 20 screening questions for someone to apply for your job, you're going to lose between 40 and 50% of your applicants. So we really want to set things up to be enticing and to capture their attention quickly and to show them why you're a good fit within less than a minute. So when we look at the content of our job ads that we're posting, we want to pay attention to top keywords, just like we do when we're looking at our websites and we're optimizing the SEO. We're finding ways to present content. Keywords is a huge factor. you can see at the very top of this list, and I know I cringe every time I see daycare. We're trying to weed that word out of our industry, but the truth is it's still the top search word for our industry on people looking for websites and people looking for jobs. So just keep these keywords in mind as you're setting up your job titles and your job descriptions. Moving on to job titles are really important in the job search engine world. And I had no idea how important these were until that seminar from Indeed. You really want to keep it short, 5 words or less. Don't be creative. If you're looking for a preschool teacher, utilize preschool teacher. Stick to those keywords. That is what is getting the hits to show up in searches. And also, unless you are sponsoring and paying for your ads, you want to avoid using any emojis, symbols, clickbait. So you don't want to put hiring now, exclamation mark, or apply now. You don't want to pad schedules. And what I mean by that, like schedule, shift, departments. I see when I'm looking at jobs on Indeed or on the Childcare Aware Job Hub, I will see hiring part-time afternoon infant childcare teacher. And you see, you've got all this schedule, shift, department, or classroom, all padded in that job title. Indeed, and probably some other search engines will actually flag those if it's not part of a sponsored ad, and it will render your ad invisible. It won't even show up. And so you don't want to risk that. So I just say, just keep it simple, keep it short, keep it to a keyword. When you're looking at your job description, that's where you can be more creative. That's where you really want to put more information, but you want to still keep it to about 325 words or less. That's what attracts up to 30% more applicants. You want it to be well organized, utilize headers and bullets, be able for that applicant to scan your content quickly. The benefits that Lauren talked to, this is where you want to lean into that, really differentiate yourself from everybody else. And you want to weave in those keywords so that you're coming up on you're utilizing that keyword search strategy. On the next slide, we've got an example. Now, this example it's too long, it's lengthy, but it's got some good characteristics that I wanted to call to your attention. You can see that they've utilized only childcare teacher as the title. Underneath that, you can see that they're hiring for infants, toddlers, and preschool. So if you want to sponsor an ad, pay for that ad, you only have to pay for one ad where you can edit the description as needed, and you can show what specifically you're hiring for. And then it's got real nice headers and bullet points. And this kind of mimics the format. I really like the format in the childcare, the Virginia Hub, Job Hub, because it actually asks you to fill in spots on what are your benefits, what are your nice to haves, what's your salary. Make sure you're always including a salary. I think sometimes in our industry, we're a little bit embarrassed about the pay rates that we can offer. And we need to commit to that because applicants skip over. They don't want any surprises. They want to know what they're going after, and they will skip ads that don't have the salary range listed. But you can also see that benefits are listed here, locations listed here. You can really fill in the content in your job description. Just make sure to keep it relatively short. And then the final thing when it comes to these job search engines, I didn't even know these existed until 2 weeks ago. There are things called company pages. and Indeed has them. I included the link. I know ZipRecruiter also has it. Google has it, where it gives you almost like a mini web page for applicants to look at your company, what your company is all about before they hire. Indeed has found that traffic on their company pages has increased 20% since February of 2020. And if you think about our society, we don't buy anything, we don't go anywhere until we look at reviews. Why is it any different for our applicants? They want to know what your company is about, and they want to know what your employees are saying. So there you can, if you go to that link, you search for your company. No, go back, please.
Going to the link.
If you search for your company, you can claim the page. It's not instant. It takes a little bit of time, maybe a couple hours. You have to be logged into your company administrative account to be able to claim it. But once you claim it, there'll be a little button that says company tools or employer tools. And then you can customize the logo, company information. And then on the next slide, there's an example of what you see. And this is a local center that I did a search for. Before we customized it, it was just a gray icon box with their name wasn't even, I think their name was gray. You could see their reviews. There was no blurb about the company. And so now it kind of fits in really nice with the other companies that showed up on that search. And then on the next page, now you can see on the why join us, we were able to add pictures and some blurbs and say, it's a great home environment. It's a quality program. On the top right, you can see the reviews. And I'll point out, when you're asking your employees to submit reviews, and there's a link that you can give them, tell them you want 5-star reviews. If they can't give you a 5-star review, ask them to talk to you about it first so that you have a chance to resolve whatever is keeping you from a 5-star review. But even, this place had a 4-star review, but if you read the description and read the review, it's actually a really great review. So I'm not exactly sure what kept it from being a 5-star, because it sounds like a 5-star, but having some feedback for employees to see what this place is like to work with goes a long way. And then finally, you can see all the jobs that are being posted at any given time for your company in the jobs section.
So thank you, Virginia. If we've done all this work and we're getting some good, viable applicants in, and Virginia was mentioning, like, it's important that we speed things up, but we don't skip important steps. We've seen with some providers that they're working so hard to get people in the classroom that they're not following their normal process, and they're really literally putting a body in the classroom. And you all know that, and we're learning, we're being reminded that doesn't work, that they typically don't work out. So stick to your process. I like documented processes because I think they're more consistent and enables you to delegate to others. But don't skip doing your background checks. I know you have to do your background, but your reference checks. I like behavioral-based questions as a quicker way to kind of uncover. If you remember, Virginia was talking about, like, in our industry, what's important, along with experience working with children and credentials, is that people come to the table with those really important attributes that make a great teacher. And so behavioral questions uncover, like, with this idea that past behavior is a predictor of future behavior. So we know, like, child-teacher interactions is super important. It's the highest element of high-quality early childhood. So asking people, like, what did you do in the past when a child was having a temper tantrum? How did you handle that? When you had conflict, because we know being a team player is so important. How did you handle when you had a conflict with a coworker? And it's recommended that you try to have just a good solid list of questions. Most directors do that have questions that uncover what you're looking for, and you try to consistently use those questions so that you're comparing apples to apples when you're looking at different people. And same with once we get them in and we've hired them, is really thinking about the onboarding, because what we don't want is we've got people in there and we throw them into the job without the right supports in place. So in our industry, we typically try to get them in there as quick as possible into the classroom. But when you think about the job, how much is required? I mean, just complying with licensing requirements, and then you add on lesson plans and curriculum and, you know, teacher-child interactions and all those elements of quality. There's a lot, especially someone who doesn't have a lot of experience needs to learn. So schools right now are, you know, when you think about retention, is really spending a lot of attention and really like keeping their pulse on new employees and ensuring that they're super supported. We lose great staff potentially because not just because of the money, but we often throw them into a deep Olympic-sized pool without giving them carefully fitted goggles and a clear life support system. How can they become long-distance swimmers if our orientation and staff development is focused only on treading water? So I love this quote. I think directors are like, I'm so busy, I'm in the classroom myself. How am I supposed to do that? Well, we have to get a little bit creative. One of the easiest and best things you can do is match them up with a mentor, another employee that does a great job, and this builds leadership in others to be a coach and a mentor to new employees. A really creative idea I heard around bonuses was not just giving a bonus to a new hire, but actually giving staff a bonus when they refer somebody who stays with the center like 90 days. And they were really robust bonus. One center was giving like $500 bonuses. And they were saying that what was really interesting is that that staff was really invested in helping that new employee to stay. And so they were giving a lot of extra effort to supporting new staff because they wanted their bonus. So we're getting really creative right now. And that's what I like, coming together with other directors so that we can hear what's working and what's not working.
Yeah, and this is just a slide. I'm a huge fan of technology to make everyone's life easier, including your applicants. So as we move in and just talk for just a couple of minutes on the use of technology in our hiring process. So we can go to the next slide, Lauren. Oh. Automate wherever possible. You know, when I give a talk about technology and automation, I say, if you're doing a task repetitively, consider how you can get technology or an app or something to do it for you. Because our time is precious. We're already working 12 hours a day or more, and we're not going to get more time. So if we can find something that does the tasks for us, we're going to be better off. Some of the things that to consider utilizing if you're using Indeed or ZipRecruiter or the Virginia CHILDCARE Aware Acquire for Hire Job Hub. And I posted all those links in the chat box so that you can gain access to that. Those have applicant tracking system features. So you can communicate. You don't have to get the resumes in your email. It can just notify you that there's a new applicant. You can communicate with your applicant. You can look at the resumes, you can gather it all, you can do screening through there. You can share that account with another person to help you do screening. You can schedule interviews or anything else that you need to schedule through that tracking system. you can even, some of them, you can actually host the interview, the online interview through the app itself. And consider doing away with the paper applications. Utilize, if you set up your online job ad application, utilize what that's giving you, utilize the resume instead of having them fill out yet another application. If you extend an offer, you're going to be giving them onboarding paperwork to get all the other information anyway. The other thing, I utilize Calendly. It's, as long as you use just the basic features, it's free, but you can utilize that to schedule interviews or screening appointments, because I'm a huge fan of offloading some of the hiring process onto the actual applicant. So I will send an automated message through whatever platform we're utilizing to an applicant saying, hey, thanks for applying. In our next step, we want you to schedule a phone interview, and here's a link to schedule your phone interview. And if they go to the next step, maybe you want the applicant to start their background check or get their TB test. Maybe you want them to bring their reference letters with them to the interview to get that out of the way. Having a link to send them through the automated system, giving them a link to schedule their application or their interview, giving them a link to the instructions. And then finally, once you do extend an offer, having a link for all the new hire paperwork, you're putting some ownership of the process onto the applicant. And essentially, you don't want them to have to jump through too many hoops, but I think this takes great steps away from the ghosting that's happening, where people aren't showing up for interviews or they're not showing up to their first day, because you're asking them to do some things before they're coming. You're checking to see how well, do they check their email? Do they follow directions? It always struck me when I would send an email asking them to click on a link to schedule an interview, and they would call me. And I would still consider them, but I would make a mental note, this person didn't follow my instructions. They didn't read my email. They didn't click on the links that I gave them. And so I like utilizing that to kind of streamline the process. And then utilizing forms like Adobe Forms, where you can set up a link, have them fill out the paperwork online. It keeps them from having to come in and pick up paperwork. It keeps them from having to print something. I'm amazed at how many people don't have printers or access to printers anymore. They don't even have access to the desktop computers. So we want to take some of that paperwork shuffle away from them and get it to be more streamlined.
Those are really good tips. So as we kind of continue this conversation around retention, I just want to talk for a minute about how do we do that? So we know our teachers are our greatest asset. They're invaluable. They're the heart of a school. They really are the most important thing that we have that helps sell the service that we're selling. Retention means we're not just talking about, being a great employer, but we're doing a lot of things in practice. So organizational climate is this idea that I said, are we a great employer? But organizational climate is the collective perception of all employees about the workplace and the quality of the workplace. And it's shared by the personalities that come together, but even more importantly, by your leadership that guides that. And I think we're going to be seeing in all industries this increased focus on climate and creating the culture and supporting what they say, workplace culture. So we mentioned earlier how things are shifting out there, and people are really recognizing and expecting the workplace to offer more, to almost like we care so well for families and children, and we want to start, not that we don't care for employees, but now we have to really up our game in terms of how we're communicating and the things that we're putting in place that care for our staff. So school climates, like the air that we breathe, a lot of times we don't really pay attention to it until something goes seriously wrong, like the workforce crisis that we're in right now. Our existing staff are working longer hours, they're carrying more of the load, and they're, a lot of us in this industry are moving to extreme burnout. And so we're really paying attention, especially right now, about all the things that we're doing to care for our team. And I know you guys are doing that. I am not telling you anything you don't need, that you don't know. But one best practice to think about, and you can do this in a lot of different ways, is not to wait till it's a crisis and people are really unhappy. Remember, somebody's perception is their reality. If they're unhappy about something, whether it's right or wrong, that's what they're going to think. And so surveying helps you get ahead of that by talking to people. And you can do, electronic surveys that you just email out and you get some response from that. Or you can do more in-depth kind of surveys, like sitting down and doing that individualized conversations, whether it's coaching and mentoring, or just being very intentional about, understanding what's important to people, where they want to go, and what you can improve on, or the things that may be bothering them. Over the years, I've conducted like a lot of what they call focus groups. And, that's kind of interesting because I'm unbiased. I don't work there. And so I'm able to build some trust where people share. And it's so interesting that people will share things that bother them that the employer has nothing, has no idea about. McCormick Institute did a research study a few years ago, and their research study showed that directors and owners always think things are better than they actually are. And that organization, they have a great tool. We put it at the end of the workshop called Am I a Great Place to Work? And it talks about organizational climate. And I think that is really, one of the best in our industry for if you're working to build your client, to put things in practice, it really gives you a fuller definition of that. Because what we know is it's not just one thing. Employee of the month isn't going to make or break. It's the combination of a lot of different things. And those quick wins right now are the luncheons, are the flexibility, are the breaks, are the, checking in. One of the things I keep hearing over and over from directors is like, right now, like every morning, they're not going into their office. They're starting their day and really checking on their staff and talking and, seeing what people's mental health is like. So we've learned that people will forget what you said, but they will never forget what you did. And people will never forget how you made them feel, by Maya Angelou. So we want to thank you all for attending today. We're going to open up for questions, but just real quick before we do that, this is a series of workshops we're doing over the next month or so. The next one will be on marketing, but we're going to continue that focus of not only marketing for families, but marketing for staff. So we're going to be, working on that. And if you're interested in becoming part of our business program, then we have at the end on the resource page here, I keep talking about it, let me get to it, a link here called earlyeducationbusiness.com that goes to our website. And this providers section takes you to more information about the business program, and you can you can apply for it, or at least send us a message that you want to learn more about it. So I'm going to open it up to questions now. If anyone has any thoughts or comments or questions for us.
Well, Lauren, while we wait and see if anybody types in any questions, please feel free to use the question window. Thank you both for that really informative presentation. Great information for folks today. I wanted to let everyone know that we'll be sending out an email after this session, probably tomorrow or the next day, with a link to the recording as well as the slides and a survey. And filling out the survey, after you fill out the survey, you'll get you'll get a certificate back for that. So you'll get a certificate for attending if you fill out your survey. And as Lauren said, the next webinar is next Thursday at noon, October 28th. So please sign up for that if you haven't already. So thank you all. And we do not have anyone. So you covered all the information so well, ladies, that you have no questions.
Virginia, do you just want to talk about the certificate process?
Sure. So we are offering a training certificate for today. And when Tracy sends you the email with the survey link, once you fill out that survey, typically it's automatic. And if it doesn't go out till tomorrow, I probably have time to set it up to go automatically. But within a day or so, we'll have that set up. So as soon as you hit that submit button, it'll turn around and send you a training certificate for this program. You know how important those are.
And Lauren, you had a couple of questions that had come in through the question window that you answered written about the ARPA funds. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, and I just was texting our Smart Beginnings person just to make sure I was on track with that. Unfortunately, we don't know. We know that the funding is coming. VECF did a webinar about a month ago on it, but they have not started sending out the funds. I think they're working on the administration structure for that funding. We know, and they said in the webinar, that the amounts will be similar to the CARES grant funding that you all received. CARES grant, you only had to apply once, and then the second round of funding showed up. I wish I had more information, but they haven't shared if there's going to be an application or not. I think the best thing you can do to stay in the loop on that would be to sign up at vecf.org. You can go there, sign up for more information, and that way you'll be on the emails or the webinar list, but also to stay in contact with your early childhood folks, whether it's Smart Beginnings, those people that are part of that connection to the state. So in every communicate, they look a little different. The whole state is, going through a big transition as everything moves under Department of Education. And then, our state is also going through a big shift that I'm sure many of you have heard, that where our Smart Beginnings brand is actually going away, and the state is moving toward what they call ready regions. And those ready region partners, entities are having to apply to be the ready region. So a lot of the United Ways or the Smart Beginnings are applying to be that ready region, coordinator. There's going to be less coalitions, and they're moving to, I think they said 9 regions. I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong, but those are going to be your point of contact with things like this, that come from the state, from DOE. So DOE is the people getting the money, but VECF, the Virginia Early Childhood Foundation, from what I understand, is administrating the funding.
And Lauren, they did say that they were going to have a new application for this round of funding.
They did. Okay.
Yeah, they were in the process of developing the new application.
Okay. Yeah, and Jane, who we work with, said that that would be the best way to get, up-to-date information would be to be on the VECF email list distribution. Thank you, Jody.
Great. Well, thank you, ladies. You don't have any other questions, so we're going to go ahead and end the webinar, and hopefully we will see everyone back again next Thursday for another great hour of information. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.